Hey guys, welcome back to another Big Al Devlin video, and this is my video discussing what is a martial art. And the reason I thought I'd do this was it was only recently myself, about a couple of years ago, that I realised that my understanding of what a martial art is was totally incorrect. I actually thought, and perhaps you guys thought the same, in fact I'm under the belief that really mass majority of people, certainly within Europe, see it as this, that all martial arts, or what we describe as martial arts, originate somewhere within the Orient, essentially, i.e. Japan, China, Korea, Thailand, somewhere around there. And that's because the mass majority of martial arts that are commonly done by the youth over here and then by adults and that over here are things like karate, kung fu, taekwondo, these kind of things, right? Which are obviously not European at the very least, you know. And when we learn or try to say, oh yeah, I do martial arts, it's always like that. Now, you don't say that I do martial arts if you're learning boxing, for example, or wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, or any form of wrestling, or you know these kind of martial arts, and they are martial arts, by the way. And that's because we don't see it as martial arts, but they are actually European martial arts. They have their origins within legitimate fighting techniques that Europeans use. Because if you think about it, why do martial arts get invented? Well, in the old days, they weren't invented for sport. They may have become sports, or may have been used as a form of sport or form of gambling, you know, between two people and all the rest. So you put two people in a ring and bet on them. It's probably one of the common uses of martial arts. But these martial arts weren't invented for that purpose. They were invented with the purpose of fighting, literally self-defense, but most commonly, the older ones, on the battlefield, for when your sword, your spear, your axe, whatever weapon you've got is either lost or destroyed, you have to resort to your bare hands. And not only that, and here's the other thing that I didn't realise, martial arts also include those techniques that you learn with a weapon. So, for example, in Japan, kendo, which is fighting with the sort of the bamboo swords, which represent the katana and all the rest of it. And you know, the techniques in kendo are used with the katana, although I know that's got its own martial art. But in Europe, we were the same. Now, the fact that we don't use swords anymore, you know, commonly at least anyway, has meant that a lot of our martial arts that we developed have gone extinct, or not extinct, but you know, aren't practiced on a larger scale. But obviously a common weapon for us was the longsword, and you know, you can't just swing a longsword, European longsword, willy-nilly and hope for the best. You think about it, knights, who are the guys who typically wielded those kind of weapons, trained from the age of 5 to the age of 20, 15 years, every day of their goddamn lives to fight. And they're not just basically swinging a weapon for 15 years and hoping for the best. No, they are learning particular sword fighting techniques. And that, in its own way, whatever that type of sword fighting was called, was a form of martial art. And just on top of that, there were martial arts that developed during that time and prior to that and after that in Europe that were hand-to-hand as well, that have seen themselves continue, because obviously we don't wield weapons anymore, and, you know, to that same degree. So those kind of ones are much harder to find or learn about, but the ones like boxing, wrestling, they've continued as a tradition within European culture. And so really, I just wanted to share that, guys, just in case maybe you didn't realise too. I know I didn't realise that by doing boxing, I was a martial artist. You know, guys out there who do wrestling might not realise you're a martial artist. Just because your techniques, your fighting techniques have evolved within Europe, or even in America, or anywhere else outside the Orient, doesn't mean that they're not a martial art. Of course they are, right? Just an eye-opener, really. Nice one, guys. Talk to you soon.